Hello and welcome to the first lesson of Up and Running with jQuery. My name is Imtiaz Ahmad from jobreadyprogrammer.com, and I'll be your instructor throughout the course. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the what and why regarding jQuery. And the ideal audience for this course are those students that have dabbled a bit with JavaScript, but if you don't know JavaScript, that's okay. Many developers out there using jQuery don't necessarily know JavaScript. We're going to be going over the important parts as we advance in the course. I do, however, expect you to read and understand HTML and CSS, okay? So what is jQuery, you might ask? Well, jQuery allows for dynamic behavior on a web page. I'll show you an example of what I mean by dynamic behavior on a website. Let's head over to my website. So here we are on jobreadyprogrammer.com, and I'm actually logged in to my profile. As you can see, that little picture, that's me. And when I click on this picture, notice this drop down appears, right? The entire page didn't refresh. It just sort of appears, this drop down, and then I can hover my mouse over here and notice that the highlighting is different, okay? And then if I click on this button, sign up to membership, before I click it, if I just hover my mouse here, notice that the colors slightly change. I click on it and it scrolls all the way to the bottom. This is an animation. This is dynamic behavior happening here. This is jQuery, all right? If I click on one of these options, notice that the enroll button appears, the colors change. If I click on this, enroll button appears, the colors change, and so on, okay? So this is jQuery happening. And if I click on my courses, let's click here. And if I search for a particular course, such as, for example, data, notice that this practical data structures and algorithms shows up. Okay, none of the other courses appear because it's searching for data. So this is all happening dynamically. If I get rid of that, notice that all the other courses appear. And this page didn't refresh entirely. It's just sort of refreshing this particular area. If I type in SQL, notice that all the others disappear and you just see SQL here. If I type in Java, notice that the courses, the relevant courses appear. Okay, so this is actually jQuery happening. So now that you know sort of what dynamic websites mean, let's head over back to the slides here. So what is jQuery? It allows the developer to find certain elements on the HTML document, but that's not it. There's a lot more jQuery can do. It allows the developer to be able to change the HTML on a web page. Using jQuery, the developer can also have the web page respond to certain actions conducted by the user. So for example, you saw that I clicked on a particular button and it took us all the way down to the bottom of the website, right? Or when I searched for a particular course, those were actions that I was performing on the website, and the website was reacting a certain way. The website was responding to certain actions. If I click a button, it does something. If I type something, it does something. So the jQuery allows a developer to be able to code for those sorts of things. When a user clicks something, do this. When a user, type something, do that. That sort of behavior. The next thing jQuery can do is make animations possible. All right, we saw in our example, when I clicked on the sign up button, it scrolled all the way to the bottom of the web page. So that was actually an example of an animation. And finally, jQuery allows communication with the server. So if we wanted to, for example, save the data entered by a user into a database, for example, someone logging into their account, and we wanted to save that session into a database, we could send that data over the network and communicate with the server and save that information in the database. So the jQuery library allows for that kind of behavior. Now, for those of you that are familiar with JavaScript, you may be wondering, well, wait a minute, this is exactly what JavaScript can do too. So then what is jQuery? Well, jQuery is JavaScript, okay? It's actually a library that was developed in JavaScript by a bunch of talented JavaScript developers, and it's meant to make a web developer's life easier. JavaScript is somewhat of a complex language, and to do simple things and simple animations, jQuery makes a web developer's life a lot easier. And jQuery is the most widely used JavaScript library in the world. A library is just basically a functionality wrapped up into code that other developers can use easily. All right, developers can just use the jQuery library to add dynamic content to their websites with a lot less lines of code than it would take them using JavaScript. And jQuery's motto is write less, do more, which is exactly what it does. Using jQuery, developers need a lot less lines of code for adding dynamic content to their websites. jQuery is much easier to learn, and as we proceed in the lessons, I'm certain that you're going to fall in love with this library, and employers are going to fall in love with you for mastering it because it's being used in almost every company out there. So here's an example of write less, do more. The above section displays JavaScript code to iterate over a list of radio buttons to figure out which one was selected. The second section down here shows the jQuery equivalent, which does the same exact thing in just a single line of code. Now, you don't have to understand what's written here just yet, but I just want you to pay attention to how much less lines of code you need to do the same thing in jQuery as opposed to JavaScript. Now, aside from being a joy to use, one of the biggest benefits of jQuery is that it handles a lot of cross-browser issues for you. Okay, cross-browser inconsistencies will drive you crazy. My website that I showed you a little while back behaves exactly the same way on my iPad or iPhone or a Samsung phone, as well as other browsers such as Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome. I'm using jQuery to make that possible. It would be much harder for me to implement using just JavaScript alone. Something that works perfectly fine in Chrome or Firefox could completely fall apart in Internet Explorer or an older version of any browser. So the jQuery team has worked really hard to ensure all browser inconsistencies are accounted for in the jQuery library. So any code you write using jQuery will work seamlessly across browsers, and this, in my opinion, is one of the greatest benefits of using jQuery in any web project. Now, here are a few more things that make jQuery such a popular library. It makes a novice look like a professional. Okay, a novice developer can get great work done using jQuery. It's easy to understand and use, and novice designers can create professional-grade dynamic websites. And not only that, it speeds up the development process, right? 5 lines of code of jQuery versus 30 lines of code in JavaScript. That's the typical ratio we're talking about here. jQuery requires a lot less lines of code compared with JavaScript. And then, of course, the no browser incompatibility issues, right? jQuery takes care of the inconsistencies of browsers. And then there's also great plugins, open source free plugins available, which we'll take a look at later on in the course. Hopefully that gave you a good overview as to what is jQuery and why it's awesome. In the next lesson, we're going to start our journey on the jQuery syntax. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next lesson.